Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Excel tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the Unpivot feature in Excel Power Query. Now, when I first found out about Unpivot, it totally transformed the way that I think about pivot tables and made my life so much easier. So stay tuned till the end here. This is going to transform the way you work in Excel. Now, right away, you can see that we have a tremendous amount of data here. In column A, essentially a list of all of the different fruits I sell at my fruit stand. And in the first row here, each column is representing a day of the year. So for example, on January 3rd, 2023, you can see that we sold $50 worth of apricots, $75 worth of avocados, and so on and so forth. If we scroll across here, we can see that the table goes all the way to the end of the year, December 31st. So again, a tremendous amount of data that we need to use a pivot table to help us summarize. Now, the problem is our data isn't quite ready for pivot table analysis because it's not in the right format. So to show you what I mean by that, let's see if we can create a quick pivot table. We'll go over to our Insert tab, Pivot Table, OK. And let's say I want to have my fruits going along the rows. We can drag our fruits to the rows here, looking good. But when I try and drag my dates in here along the columns, you can see right away that it's not really producing the result we're expecting and not helping us to summarize our data at all. So this is where Unpivot comes in. Unpivot is going to help us transform the format of our data so that it's ready for pivot table analysis. So essentially what it does is it changes our data from a horizontal format going across to a vertical format going from top to bottom, which is going to be ideal for pivot table analysis. Getting our data into the right format could take hours and hours if we were to do it manually, but Unpivot is going to let us do it with just a few clicks. So without further ado, let's get started. First step, as usual, is to import our data into the Power Query editor. We're just going to go over to our Data tab here, click From Table or Range, and now that our data has been loaded into the editor, let's go ahead and give our table a name. We'll call it Fruit Stand Data. And now we're ready to unpivot our data. So the first thing we're going to do is select all of our columns. We'll just hit Control A on our keyboard, and now we can see all of our columns have been selected, but we just want to unselect our fruit column. We only want to unpivot the columns with a date in it. So to do that, just hit the Control button on your keyboard, hold that down and select your fruit column. And you can see here the fruit column has been unselected and only our columns with dates are selected in green here. Exactly what we're looking for. Now we're just going to right click and hit Unpivot Columns. And with the click of a button, you can see that we've changed our data from a horizontal or wide format to a vertical format. And this is the ideal format that we need it to be in for pivot table analysis. Now, just a couple more tweaks here until the data is fully ready. You can see that when we unpivoted our data, it put the date into an attribute column and the sales amount in our value column. Let's go ahead and rename our columns. Attribute can be renamed to date, and we'll rename this as sales amount. And let's make sure as well that our data is in the right format. So let's right click our date column, change type, and we're going to change it to a date. And for our sales amount, let's change that to a currency. Now that all of our data has been cleaned up, everything is looking good in the right format. Let's go ahead and load our table to a regular Excel table. We'll hit close and load. And now we're ready to create our pivot table. So as usual, we'll just go over to Insert, Create Pivot Table, hit OK. And you can see right away that this is a lot more promising than the pivot table we were trying to create at the beginning of the video. You can see we only have 3 fields here, whereas before we had a field for each date, which was giving us trouble. So let's go ahead and drag our fruit into the rows. We're going to have our date going across, so we'll drag our date into the columns, and then we'll drag our sales amount into the values. And you can see right away here that we have a really great summary of our data thanks to Unpivot. Let's go ahead and clean up our pivot table a little bit. We can change the number format here to be a currency. Let's say that we want to group by quarter instead of month. Let's right click our month, click Group By, and we're just going to group by quarter instead. And we can go over here to the design and let's just change it to a nice green color over here. And there you have it, a nice pivot table summarizing our sales for each fruit that we sell at our fruit stand. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. We recently hit over 300 subscribers, so thank you all so much for the support. It truly means a lot to me, and I'll be back soon with another easy Excel tutorial.